I always like hearing your price targets because you are so fearless. Where are you on Bitcoin by the end of next year, let's say?
Well, if the spot Bitcoin gets approved,
Yeah.
I think
A Bitcoin spot ETF is a good idea, but you are being gaslit about Bitcoin spot ETF. There's fake news being distributed that the SEC has delayed all ETF approvals until early 2024. There is no source for this. This is just speculation. In fact, insiders are coming out and saying a BlackRock Bitcoin ETF is likely 4 to 6 months away. And if not BlackRock, maybe Fidelity, maybe ARK Invest, maybe Grayscale. A Bitcoin spot ETF would be a huge deal. This is what happened to the price of gold when a spot gold ETF was approved in 2004. Gold went on an 8-year bull run. Do you understand what's going to happen when any one of these companies gets approved for a spot Bitcoin ETF? Do you understand why something like this is going to happen when a Bitcoin spot ETF gets approved? I had the chance to interview an expert, Rand Nooner from Crypto Banter, about a month ago. I want to play you 2 minutes of this 15-minute clip. Why exactly this is such a huge deal for the price of Bitcoin. Listen. Everybody says that this BlackRock spot ETF is a huge deal. Is it like really that huge of a deal? Could you help us understand like why, like if this gets approved, why this is going to be so big?
So ETFs give investors a simple way to get into asset classes. And if you think about ETFs, the people that sell the ETFs are the wealth advisors. The wealth advisors manage most the capital in the world and in the United States. And if you let me share my screen again, I'll actually show you a few things here. So that is like, if you look at the wealth advisors in the world, that is in the States, this is what they specifically manage. So BlackRock manages 9.5 trillion, Vanguard 8.1 trillion, Fidelity 4.3 trillion. And so the list goes on and on. Right now, if you're a wealth advisor and you believe that you want to be in Bitcoin, and the reason why you may want to be in Bitcoin is because Bitcoin's been the best performing asset class. How do you get your investors into Bitcoin? What's your entry point? How do you do it? One way is that you can be a custodian yourself and try and store the private key somewhere or the 12 magic words somewhere, but that's quite negligent. You could open an account on Coinbase, but most big funds aren't regulated to be able to open an account on Coinbase. You could buy shares in Grayscale's Bitcoin Trust, which is not really an ETF, but it's illiquid. It's traded on what they call an over-the-counter market. So what happens when you introduce an ETF is you open up the world to the fund managers who meet with their clients regularly to be able to put Bitcoin into their portfolios. Okay, now what does that do? Well, now you get the average advisor, and whether the advisor is a big pension fund or whether the advisor is an endowment or whether it's just an advisor who plays golf with high net worth individuals, and he says to them, this Bitcoin thing, it's gone up 83% in the first 6 months of the year, and it's still 50% off its all-time high. And, maybe we should just put 2% of our portfolio. And then what happens is it becomes like switching a switch, like all the rest of the investment products in the world. It's not a hard sell. Right now, you imagine that same game of golf with that same fund manager wanting to go into Bitcoin. And he's thinking, if my client tells me to get into Bitcoin, what the hell am I going to do? Like, I'm going to open an account at BitGo and I don't know how to custody this thing. And, the truth is also investment managers earn a fee for selling investment products. So it's like, if an investment manager sells a fund, he typically earns a fee. Now, those fees are quite regulated. But going forward, they'll be able to earn a small fee for putting you into the Bitcoin ETF. So they kind of have a small incentive to do that as well. So I think it is a big deal. Over time, I think that'll be the entry point for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7% of assets in the United States and in the world to start flowing into Bitcoin. And because Bitcoin is a scarce supply or limited supply asset, the more buying you have specifically of the spot instrument, the more the price goes up.
But I want you to realize that a spot Bitcoin ETF is definitely going to happen. Not only insiders, but experts in the field of crypto are coming out. This is the CEO of Kraken. I am certain we will have a spot Bitcoin ETF in the US. I think it's possible this year. This is his full statement. Listen to the end.
You know, it's interesting. Spot ETF trading getting a lot of attention. You've got half a dozen companies now hoping to get approval. However, we've seen delays after delays after delays. When do we get approval? When do you think this could all get rolling? Or maybe not at all? What are your thoughts?
I think, well, the easy question is this. I am certain we will have a Bitcoin ETF in the US at some point in time. I mean, other countries already have companies offering these products, Europe, UK, and elsewhere. We know this firsthand. I know this firsthand because we provide the reference rate to these various different products via our subsidiary CF Benchmarks. It's the largest benchmark and indices provider in the crypto space. We also happen to have somewhat of a front row seat in that we are the selected reference rate provider for the majority of these ETF applications in the US. Now to the harder question, when is that actually going to happen? Right now the SEC, predictable I don't think is the best adjective to describe them.
No.
I'm hopeful one of these that are in the queue or several of them actually will get through. I think it's possible this year, and even with greater possibility that we'll see it at least by sometime next year.
Believe me, if he could just come right out and say it, he would. Hey, join us at Bitcoin Amsterdam October 12th and 13th. This is an epic Bitcoin conference. Use code AltcoinDaily, 10% off tickets. Get this ticket or get this ticket. Ticket prices increase as we get closer to the event. So many awesome speakers are being added every single day. Use code AltcoinDaily for 10% off. Hope to see you there. But anyways, let's get to the bigger question. So I'm not talking about 5 years after it gets approved. I'm not talking about 10 years after it gets approved. I'm talking about within a year after a spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved. What price will Bitcoin rally to? Fundstrat's Tom Lee just went on live TV and gave his price prediction. If the spot Bitcoin ETF gets approved, the clearing price of Bitcoin will be this.
I always like hearing your price targets because you are so fearless. Where are you on Bitcoin by the end of next year, let's say?
Well, if the spot Bitcoin gets approved, I think the demand will be greater than the daily supply of Bitcoin. And so the clearing price, this is done by Sean Farrell, who's our crypto digital strategist, is over 150,000. It could even be like 180,000.
But that's only if the ETF gets approved.
Yeah, in the U.S.,
a
spot U.S. because a spot Bitcoin ETF is approved outside the U.S.
Okay, but if it's not approved, then are we just lingering around 29,000?
There's still upside counts because of the halvening next year. So you'll have a drop in supply again. So the clearing price has to increase, but it won't be